Hello, I'm Scott Richardson. I'm the school resource officer here at West Hardin Middle School. Today we're putting on a career day for the 7th grade boys. The 7th grade girls got to go on a field trip, so the boys didn't have much to do, so they asked me if I could help. I said, yeah, I can help. So I arranged for about 12 different agencies to come out, represent Hardin County. We have EC3, E-Town Police, Army, Navy, West Point Bank, Kroger donated, Amazing Glazing. We have several people coming out today getting set up, HMH, Water District. So I'm just trying to provide some of these people, give some education, some background, what these children need to do for high school, even moving on to college to see what they need to do in the future to prepare themselves, make Hardin County better. So that's what we're here to do. Good morning, students. Hey, this is career day for you guys because the ladies get to go somewhere, so Wes felt like you guys need to have something to do too. So as it developed, it went from having some people come out and talk to you to me giving a class, and I said, you know what, we need a little bit more for these kiddos. So what I did was I compiled all these people to come out and talk to you guys because they care about you and your future, okay? So what we have set up, we have the water districts here, EC3 is here, E-Town Police, Valley Creek Fire, Western Kentucky has a booth over here. We have the game warden, HMH is here. We have a game developer, you all asked a bunch about that. We have Hardin County EMS, the Navy, professional pitcher Steve Delabar's here, and West Point Bank. Okay, so that's who you're going to be talking to, all right? You want to give the instructions on everything?
Okay, I love that you guys are being so quiet and paying attention because I need to give you just a few instructions, not many, because this is going to be a really interactive day, okay? So I want you to take advantage and gather some good information. You have your little worksheet. I want you to, what you're going to do is to look at our representatives today, and you're going to pick 3 of those as your 3 possible interests. It might not be a career that you've even considered before, but it might be something that you think, I might be a little interested in that. I think I'll gather some more information today. So that would be one of your choices. Then you may see a couple of others also that you're interested in. Go ahead, and those would be your 3 choices on your worksheet. So we are going to rotate in groups. You're actually going to visit every station, okay? Not just the 3 that you've listed. But we are going to number you off in probably groups of 10. So you'll need to pay close attention as I count you off, okay? Because if you come and ask me what group you're in, I'm not going to know, am I? Because there's a lot of you all. So what we will do is start everyone at a different station, and then when we give you the signal to rotate, you will just go to the next station. It's very simple. And if you're at the last station over here, when the signal sounds for you all to rotate, you will go from that station over to the first one, okay? And we'll be here to guide you. But I want you to use this time wisely. Ask some thought-provoking questions, have a little fun. Don't act too silly because this is a serious event, okay? But I want you to enjoy yourself. We have some very interesting careers out here, and I want you to really pay close attention to what they have to say and offer you all in terms of information, okay? And then after we do that, you're going to have a chance to get into some small groups, maybe 2 or 3 together, and you're going to share some information. I want you to talk about something that you learned, maybe something you had no clue was involved if you worked at the water treatment plant or as a game warden. And I know you think you're very familiar with what a professional athlete would do. However, that's the end result. What do you have to do to get to that point? The work ethic, right? The people skills. Okay, so I want you to think about those things that might have surprised you that you learned today, and that's what you're going to talk about in your small groups. So there is going to be some discussion afterwards.
How many of you know what a game warden does? All right, tell me, what do you think? Protect the wildlife, all right, we do that.
They're basically like a wildlife police officer.
Wildlife police officer, all right. Anybody else, anything different? Okay. We do that. We are a wildlife police officer, okay? We enforce fishing and hunting regulations. We also do all the boating patrol. So when people are out there on boats, fish limits, that's under the Fish and Wildlife. But boating, when you're out there boating, you gotta have life jackets and all that kind of stuff. We do all that. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that we can do any other law enforcement as well. So the same thing any other police officer can do, we can do as well. So we can pull you over for speeding, driving recklessly, any of that stuff, okay? So, have any of you ever thought about wanting to be a game warden? You have? All right. What kind of questions do you have? I'll tell you this, all right? Right now, in Kentucky, we are supposed to have one game warden per county. So there's only one of us in a whole county. So that's a lot of area to cover, right? So we're pretty busy. Now, being a game warden, I don't get to sit around and wait for people to call me and tell me that, hey, somebody's doing something wrong over here. So I've got to be out looking for people. So we've got to find our own stuff. We are kind of on the job 24/7. It just depends. With being a game warden, I still have a lot of freedom. Okay, so I'm not really tied to a schedule, so that I can stay flexible. So that when somebody does call me and says, "Hey, old Joe over here is catching too many fish," I can go check him out. Okay, so we are kind of available 24/7. A lot of it just depends.
How much money do you all make?
Do what?
How much money do you all make?
How much money do we make? Well, that is kind of a bad thing. We do not make much money, okay? When you turn 21 years old, if you decided you wanted to be a game warden, now when you all turn 21, it's going to be hard to say what they're making, but right now, you can start maybe at like $30,000 a year. All right? Now, not to make you change your mind or anything, but I want you to know everything out there. If you just want to be a regular police officer, most of the time you can go to a different police agency and probably start making about $10,000 more a year than what you do with us. Okay? So I tell people if they want to be a game warden, they have to do it because that's what they want to do. Yep, you have to have a high school diploma. Okay? You have to be 21 years old. That's for any law enforcement job. Okay? Do you have a question, buddy?
Why is there a max fish limit?
Why is there a maximum fish limit?
What is it?
Well, if we didn't have limits and people went out there and caught all they could catch, do you think there would be many fish left? No. See, that's why we have laws. A long time ago, we didn't have any, and people just caught and killed whatever they wanted to, and we didn't have much. So we had to have laws.
What's the max limit?
Do what?
What's the max fish you can catch?
Well, it depends on what species you're catching. So you got to know what kind of fish you're catching.
Well, I don't fish.
Oh, well, maybe you need to start fishing.
I think it's kind of.
Oh.
Don't you have to study in law enforcement to do that?
You don't have to study in law enforcement, but it's a good idea if that's what you want to go into. Okay? How many of y'all hunt and fish? I know you don't fish.
Yep.
You hunt?
No, I just
You just fish? All right. Hunting?
fish.
Fish? Both? Both? Okay. How old are you?
No, you know.
12? All right. You hunt and fish?
Half for veg.
Huh? Sometimes? All right. So if you are hunting and fishing, how old you got to be to have a fishing license?
18, 14.
You don't need a fishing license until you're 16. All right. When do you need a hunting license? When you turn 12, you got to have a hunting license. Okay. So see, you got to know all these laws. And then when you get over these, just like fishing, just like he was asking, you got to know all the laws of the different fish. How many you can keep, what size they got to be.
Don't they have to be a certain, if it's like a certain type of fish, there's a certain type of amount, yeah.
Yep. If certain species of fish, there's certain sizes, certain limits. So all that stuff you got to know. And as a game warden, we got to know all the hunting and fishing stuff, And like I said before, we got to know all the other stuff as well.
I just fish if it's a fish factory.
That's good. That's good. What else y'all got on your sheet there? Y'all writing stuff
Educational
down?
experience.
What personal traits do we need?
Huh?
What personal traits do we need?
Personality traits.
Well,
That's a smart.
as a game warden, all right, we talk to a lot of people. So you gotta be good with communication skills, and you gotta be able to talk to people at different. You know, you might be able to talk to somebody who's never been out of the city, or somebody who's never been in a city. So you gotta be able to talk to everybody.
Well, what educational experience do you need?
Education or experience, you gotta have at least a high school diploma. Okay, I recommend that you at least go to college for an associate's degree. For the job right now, you got to have a diploma, and you got to have enough college hours to have an associate's degree. You don't have to have the degree; you just got to have the hours.
Do you go to training?
Yep, we go through the regular police academy, just like all the other police, and then we do our own academy.
We're bankers. Eric's on more loan side. I do a lot of like relationship building and developing a business kind of stuff. We both went to college. We have 4-year degrees. What kind of questions do y'all have? Real quick.
How do you get through a whole day?
How do we get through a whole day?
Lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee. We start early in the morning with coffee. Get to the bank, and we normally, I'll drink a cup of coffee or two and kind of pal around with everybody at the bank. And then we do a lot of meeting with customers, people who may need like a loan for a car or to build a house, or then maybe other people coming in to deposit money into their bank account. So we handle that. So you bring in $200 and you say, I want to put this in my bank account. And so we take it in, we count it, put it in our bank, and then you have credit in your bank account for it. So stuff like that. That's kind of what a normal day would look like.
Answering a lot of phone calls, a lot of stuff like that. When you think about careers in banking and when you think about getting into that sector, there's a couple different types of categories kind of there that are opportunities, I guess, for employment in a bank. So we have our customer service representatives, our tellers, and those are those people. Have you all ever been in a bank before?
Yes.
So when you walk into the bank and you kind of see those people that you give your money to, or you go in and you ask them for money, those are our customer service reps, our tellers. They're the ones who are going to be taking care of your typical needs, like you need to deposit some money, you need to withdraw some money, to make loan payments, stuff like that. We also have a loan kind of side of things, and that's the people that you're going to come see when you turn 16 and you want a car, so you got to get a loan. I'm a lender. We also have people that help me put loans together and help me do the different paperwork and kind of all the necessary stuff. Those are loan processors. So there's a couple different kind of jobs that you could get into in a bank. And they all kind of require different levels of education. So a lot of times our tellers are high school degrees. You have to have a high school degree or a high school diploma in order to work there kind of as a teller. Typically people that are on the loan processor side, the loan officer side, anytime that you become an officer of the bank, typically you would probably have a 4-year degree. I went to UK and got a bachelor's in finance.
I went to Union University, which is in Tennessee, but I have a 4-year degree in business, so similar.
So typically, anytime that you kind of get towards that upper, middle management type of positions, you would need to have a 4-year degree from college. What other questions do you all have for us?
The usual salary.
So it kind of varies.
Depending on where you fall in those ranks. We talked about, so like the CSR, the customer service representatives, teller, that kind of stuff is probably $25,000 to $40,000 a year, somewhere in there. And then as you move kind of through the bank more a little to like loan processors, that may be 40 to 50-ish range, and then out above that you may be looking somewhere like off like loan officers, and then especially once you get into like vice president, president of the bank, 50 to maybe 100,000 or up from there. It is. So you can. Banking is a good industry to be in, and so you can provide for your future family well with it, and so you get to help out a lot of other people with your job as well. What else?
I have a question.
Okay.
What kind of, can you elaborate more on what you do?
Yeah, so my title is the Business Development Officer. And so my job is I go out and I try to find people who don't bank with us, and I get them to bank with us. So whether that be business customers or people like your parents or any people, your teachers, anybody like that who doesn't currently bank with us, so that we can provide them service. Very sociable, yeah. A lot of what I do is shaking hands and meeting people.
I played with Seattle, Toronto, Cincinnati. I played in the Padres organization, Rangers, the Indians, 2 different independent teams, and then a team in Japan. I don't even know how many that is.
Yeah, my dad's favorite team is the Reds.
I played for the Reds. Played there in 2016.
That's just have you just retired?
Yeah, last spring I was with Texas and they were in AAA with them, and then they let me go. I came home and now I'm the head baseball coach at E-Town. Yeah, I played at Central Hardin, graduated there in 01, but now back home and still doing baseball. Yes, you have to. The mental side of the game is just as high, if not higher, than the physical side of the game. Physically, you have to be on another level, but mentally, you have to be way beyond the physical side.
What do you typically get paid as a baseball?
The major league minimum now, it's up over $500,000 for the year. But you're like, wow, cool, I want that right now. But there's only 750 players in the entire world that can be on major league rosters at one time, from April to the end of August. So do the numbers on that. No. So getting there is very tough, but staying there is even harder because you got so many people trying to get up there.
What are the personality traits?
You got to be able to. You got to be a good teammate. You have to be. You have to be able to. You have to be coachable, because there's a lot of guys that play the game that are back still with the game and coaching, and they know they've seen the game for a long time. And they may say, hey, you know what? The way you swing the bat looks a lot like this guy, and I think your game would be really nice if you would have tailored it after this guy, because that guy was a 10-year major league player, and we want you to be that guy.
What position did you play?
I was a relief pitcher. Well, starter early in my career, and then when I get to the major leagues, I was a reliever.
Have you ever hit a homer?
And I hit a bunch in high school, and then now if I hit, I can hit the ball. But I never hit. I got one at bat in the game, and they told me not to swing because it was in spring training, and it wasn't worth anything in spring training.
What college? What degree? Were you using degree to get in there in high school?
Not to get into professional ball. Because there's a lot of players that go through 4-year schools, and you know how like basketball they do like the one and done. So I was drafted after my first year in college, and I had surgery. I should just leave it rolled up. So I had surgery here, and then I got baseball seams tattooed over it. Okay, I broke my elbow here, but the as far as the education, you have to be able to be on the field. If you're in college, you have to be able to be on the field, because if you're not playing, then nobody's going to take you. Now, if you sign and you go out, you need to, like we talked about the mental side, and then there's also, like you talked about the money, like you need to know where your money's going. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with it, because now it's your job, and you need to know how to manage your job.
So we're with Hardin County EMS. We work for the ambulance service. So anytime somebody in Hardin County calls 911 for their emergencies, we respond to them. So their emergencies range from anywhere from falls to heart attacks, trouble breathing, anything that's going on with them that they consider an emergency. When they call us, we go out and respond to them. So in order to respond to these emergencies and take care of people, we have to carry all this equipment with us, and this is just some of the stuff we carry. Anything that goes on in the emergency room that the doctors can take care of, we can take care of in the back of our truck. So we have to carry these bags in order to take our equipment into houses with us and stuff to take care of patients. So this is called a Lucas. This is something we use to do CPR on patients. It does all the work for us. Our bags carry all our equipment in it, from starting IVs to helping with airway stuff and different medicines we can give. And then our heart monitor that we can put people on takes your blood pressure, checks your heart out, your heart rate and stuff like that. So we work 24-hour shifts at a time. We go in at 8 one morning, get off at 8 the next morning, and then we're off for the next 2 days. So it's a pretty nice schedule if you can get used to working for 24 hours at a time. As far as college goes, in high school you have to finish with a high school degree, GED, something like that, and go on to college. It takes 6 months to become an EMT to start working, and then you can go on and get your paramedic license, and that takes about 2 years. So do you have any questions for us?
What is the education required?
Do what? It ranges. Ranges on where you work, how much overtime you decide that you want to pick up, and what services you work for.
Wait, how much?
About $30,000 to $40,000 a year. For what? EMS.
What is the education required?
You got to finish high school, and then typically you have to go on to college for 6 months to get your EMT license, and then to be a paramedic you have to go for 2 years. It's just like any other kind of 2-year degree. Working EMS, you have to definitely be a people person because you're dealing with the public all the time. Have to be friendly, willing to take care of others. You have to be able to deal with stressful situations and be able to stay calm during that, because people are looking for you to take care of them, and if you start freaking out, they're not going to trust you to take care of their emergencies. So you have to be able to stay calm for sure.
Any other questions? You all want to see any of the equipment?
The knowledge needed, areas to study.
In high school, you want to take science and medical classes, like your anatomies, your biology and stuff like that. And some high schools have classes that are just towards the medical field. Those are always helpful and give you a head start in your degrees. He's going to show you how our Lucas works. So when somebody's heart stops working, we have to do CPR to fix it. But we're busy. Usually there's only 2 people on a truck, so we're busy doing other things like breathing for you and starting IVs. So this machine does our work for us. And it'll do CPR as long as we need to. The machine doesn't get tired like humans get tired. So it's pretty nice to have in the back of the truck. One of the best inventions we have, and they're pretty new to EMS. They haven't been around very long. What's your salary?
Salary, great question. So starting out, average salary, right around $35,000. So but remember, that's starting out, okay? Another unique thing about military pay, right, is that's our salary. We also get a housing allowance and food allowance on top of that. So our house and our food is free, right? So that $35,000 a year goes in our pocket. Right? What else?
For this, like, you have to take like something like course to like go actually like certified to go to the Navy.
No. So you have to graduate high school and you have to take an ASVAB test. Okay? The ASVAB, it's ASVAB. Okay? That test just tells us what kind of job or career field you're going to be good at doing. And that's how we determine what jobs you're going to qualify for in the Navy. What kind of jobs are you all interested in?
Diesel mechanic.
Diesel mechanic. So a lot of our ships have diesel engines on them. So well, I'm talking diesel engines as big as this room. Yes.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, really.
So here's some cool things about the military, right? We talked about the money side. Where are you guys going to go to high school after West Hardin? Central. So guess what Central has? They have a junior ROTC program. So if you do 2 years of JROTC, you come in the Navy as a higher pay grade, an automatic E2, so that's more money. If you do 3 or 4 years, that's automatic E3, okay? Most people that join the military come in as an E1. So just by doing 4 years of JROTC or 3 years, you come in 2 pay grades higher than the people that typically come in. It's more money, more opportunities, right? And JROTC is a great program to learn a lot about structure and life after the military, or after high school, okay? Not everybody that does JROTC joins the military, okay? But it helps you with those skills afterwards, all right? What else? Another question. What type of jobs do you guys want to do? Game warden, that's what I'm talking about. Diesel mechanic. Cop.
So all those jobs are jobs that the Navy offers, or has something that relates to it, right? So me, I'm a firefighter. I'm a firefighter in the Navy. That's my job. That's what I do. I train the crew on firefighting technique, maintain firefighting gear, and fight fires. Take leadership roles when emergencies happen, right? So and then we got him.
My job, I'm an electronics technician in the Navy. What that means is I work on computer systems, communication systems, and radar systems. All right? My job is to fix those and find out what's wrong with them. Okay?
I'm a Navy counselor. So you guys, you know how you have counselors here at school? I do the same thing, but I help people in the Navy and help people join the Navy. So all of our jobs translate out into the civilian world, certifications, credentials, to help us walk right into a career field after the Navy. All right? Any more questions? All right, we're gonna do some push-ups. You wanna do push-ups?
Oh, he's ready.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
All right. Down and up at the same time. I'm gonna say down, you're gonna go down. Up, you're gonna come up. Okay? Hold. Questions? Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, forward. 5, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
I'm from EC3. We do a lot of different things at EC3. Today I brought just a couple of those that we do. Right? First one we're going to talk about is automotive. Now, in your car, you put gasoline in the car. What happens inside of your engine are several thousand explosions per minute. Okay? Those explosions push a piston, which turns a crankshaft, which turns your wheels. But none of that happens without electricity. So we're going to show you today kind of what happens inside your engine to make those little explosions. If you look down here at the bottom, okay, these are spark plugs, and you'll see how every time that one of those sparks, that's an explosion. Okay, so it gets to going pretty good, and they'll, again, thousands of explosions per minute. Now, what is actually happening between those? We can have a little fun. Watch up here. So the electricity is jumping from one spark plug to the other. Now, that does not happen in your car like that. Okay, that's just something that we do for fun. All right, next thing we're going to do is on this opposite end of the table. These, and you might have seen these before, these are called Ozobots. They're very small, okay, but you can program them to do different things. Now, we've made a track here, use these special markers, and you draw the track, and when it hits a color, the bot will perform some sort of act. Like it might just change its color, it might change its direction. They do different things. We have them do different things. We have played bowling with them before. You'll program them to go down a lane. You've got to line it up and make sure it goes the right way. And so if you don't have it programmed right, which this is not programmed exactly correctly, they will go off and do their own thing. So you have to watch them so they don't run away. All right. Here's our Spheros. We get to play with these all the time too. See if I can get this fired up real quick. So I'm gonna put this one out here. actually, we can go make it chase Miss Goodman. Look at her, she kicked it. But we'll try to bring it back. But we can program to go around the rooms. We can program them to make sounds. We can program them to do all sorts of different things. This one's in free control. I'm the one who's trying to control it, as then it will come all the way back. And the last thing I'll talk about, a lot of people want to see, is the aeronautics. Hold on to your paper. So we have a drone here. We have an aeronautics and aerospace class. Don't worry, it's not going to get you. Okay? You can start taking these classes as freshmen and sophomores. We build small planes made out of styrofoam and cardboard. We fly them, we crash them, we rebuild them. And then this program we actually have with drones, you can earn a professional certification in drone flying. We've had 8 students take it so far this year. 7 of them have passed it, and now they have a drone license, so to speak. Okay? We have drones that we put cameras on that we use not only in aeronautics, but we use in our video production pathway that we have. So we have a lot of different things like that. Okay. You may have a question. The salary? Now, not of me, but of a person within automotive. You have the range of $50,000. In aeronautics, you're talking well over $100,000 a year. Programming, if you're with the right company, over $100,000 a year. So there's a lot of different jobs like that. There's a factory they just announced will be built in Meade County, which will require, it's a metal producing company, which they'll need a lot of welders. We have a welding program. They can make over $100,000 a year doing that as well. As far as prerequisite classes at EC3, there are only a few that you have to take at your home high school before you can come to EC3. If you wanted to do programming, that would be digital literacy, would be the class that you'd have to take. And you come over, we not only have like these computer programming, but we have game design, we have the security systems, and so you can get a lot of different certifications, which again leads to either a job directly out of high school, or it gets you a head start when you go into a college, or if you go straight into a job, it gets you a little bit of a leg up.
I'm Joey Scott. I'm the Fire Chief of Valley Creek Fire Department and also the President of the Hardin County Fire Chiefs Association. To my left is Jacob Hiley. He's going to be assisting me today and kind of talking about his gear, what he's wearing. He's kind of my demonstration aide, so yes, you can. Real quick, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do, how education affects our jobs, and then I'll let you all answer your questions, okay? And think of some good questions, because I like to answer questions, okay? So, as you all can see, Firefighter Hiley is all suited up here today, and he's actually wearing all his turnout gear. Adds about 60 pounds of weight when he's got everything on. Yes, sir?
You ever get like sweaty?
Oh, I'm sweating right now.
Yeah.
After about 20 minutes, you start getting a little warm.
Guys, this has liners inside of it to protect our body. Yes, sir?
That weighs as much as me.
Weighs as much as you. So this would be like putting you on the back. Okay.
Ooh, that's
Okay. So what we have here, guys, is self-contained breathing apparatus. This keeps the good air in, keeps the bad air out. This is what enables us to fight an interior fire attack and rescue people from inside of the structure. When Firefighter Hiley is all suited up, how much money do you think he's wearing?
like a few thousand.
How much?
A
few thousand?
Like 5,000.
Close. About $8,000 is what you're seeing right here. That's what one firefighter costs to equip one firefighter. Yes, sir?
Like just that. How much is that?
This right here is about $3,000.
Yeah.
So, and this is about $6,500. So you're around $8,000 to $9,000. So, all right. So a little bit about education, guys. Why education is important. What do you all think that you're all learning today that would affect in our jobs? Go ahead. What? Okay. How about mathematics? Do y'all like math?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, you need to learn it because guess what? Every job you see here today requires mathematics. It requires English, reading, and you know what? How about science? How many of you like science?
A little bit.
Science can save our lives because we have a thing called fire behavior. It's kind of hand in hand with science, and it teaches us, you know, how to read smoke, what fires are going to do, how they're going to progress. And that all revolves back to science. So, mathematics. We need to know how to pump our fire trucks. We got to have the correct operating pressures to actually pump the fire trucks to make the nozzles work. And guys, I'm talking really fast because we only got a few minutes here, but I want to give you all a chance to ask some good questions. Reading, hold your questions. Reading is very important because guess what? You got to be able to read your map books to get to the fires, right? English, very important because you need to be able to communicate, right? Communication is key. That's if y'all on your papers there, that's one of the very important traits of firefighters is being able to communicate with the general public. So, all right, give me some questions. Yes, sir.
How often is there fires here in the county?
How often is fires here in the county? Probably around, I mean, every day we have fires in the county, but we respond to a multitude of different things, guys. Not just fires, car accidents, emergency medical incidents, rescue incidents. We respond to hazard material calls. So a different thing. So you get a lot of fire calls in the county within a year's time.
So I work for Hardin County Water District number 2, and we have a lot of different departments. I have a few of them lined out here for you. But pretty much depending on your interest depends on what we have available for you. We have a lot of different departments. So what do you like to do? What interests you with school and things like that?
Aerospace engineering.
Okay, that is not something we have. We do have an engineering department. So what do you like to do?
I like to play baseball.
What about school? What subjects do you enjoy?
Math.
Math. Okay. That's awesome. Well, like I said, we have an engineering department. That's a lot of math. We also have accounting and IT. So depending on what kind of math that you like, if you like the drawing side of things, our engineering and mapping department would be a great spot to look into. We have a few different employees there. Some of them have degrees, but some of them started off and just developed an interest and kind of moved in that direction. And we have a tuition reimbursement program. That's something that you like. We will pay for you to go to school, you know, to come back and benefit our company. What do you enjoy doing? Gym? Do you like to be active, be outside, things like that? Well, you may be a great fit for our distribution department. It's actually this picture. They put pipe in the ground, and also they're the ones that come out and fix the leak any time of the day and night. They come in and dig up whatever's wrong in that area. They have to shut off everything around it and isolate the leak, and they dig in that area. Our guys get down. I mean, they've been as deep in the ground. You know, the one by Tractor Supply, I believe they were about 12 foot in the ground. They cut out the pipe and put a new pipe in and refilled it back in. So all of that they do, you know, as fast as possible so that our customers can get their water back on and things like that. So if you're not afraid of hard work, we have a lot of guys in the field that started off, you know, came in as a general laborer, and you can train and be an equipment operator. We also teach you how to drive the dump trucks and things like that, and you can get your CDL license through us. So that may be something neat. But it's a lot of hard work.
Howdy, so my name's Jake. I'm a video game developer. And I work for a really small studio called Cardboard Computer that's only 3 people. So we all have to do a lot of different kinds of things. I do a lot of programming and design and also writing, like writing dialogue for the game. But if you're working at a larger game studio, like Epic, who makes Fortnite, or like EA, who makes all the sports games, or one of those bigger studios, your work there would probably be a lot more specialized. But that's kind of like what I like to do. What I like about being an indie game developer is that I get to do lots of different kinds of work, and I get to be kind of an entrepreneur and run a small business also. But yeah, so there's a lot of different kinds of jobs that you can work in the games industry. So you can be an independent game developer, like I was just describing, is what I do. You can also be a game designer. A designer is the person who comes up with all the rules of the game, you know. And that person also does a lot of communication between the team to make sure different parts of the team all kind of understand like what the different parts of the game are about and how they're going to fit into the whole experience. Yeah.
Is there like a scripter that does all the like Java scripting?
Scripter, yeah. So there's lots of different programmers who work on video games. Some of them are like scripters or gameplay scripters. Yeah. And I'm a programmer on our game, and I do yeah, mostly this kind of like gameplay scripting stuff that you were talking about.
What game are you making?
Oh, it's called Kentucky Route Zero. That's the game that we make. It's a game about exploring Mammoth Cave, and it's kind of slow-paced story game there. Yeah, so I do a lot of programming that's about saying, oh, when this person talks to this person, this should happen, and then remember that they talked, and later on come back to that conversation, and if they found this entrance, then this other person talks. It's like all this logical stuff about how the story should flow. I do a lot of that. And then I program all the menus where you can change the setting, you know, just like a lot of this kind of stuff that just has to happen in order to turn this idea into a game that people can play. And then also a lot of programming that's about making sure the game runs the same on the Xbox as it does on the computer, and this is like a field of programming that's just about knowing all the little differences between these platforms and stuff. So there's a lot of specialized stuff like that that you learn by doing, and really the best way to get into making video games, if you're interested, is just to start making video games. And just try it out, and like just pretend that you have to make like 30 bad video games before you're allowed to make one good video game. And just try to make 30 bad video games as fast as you can. To help you do that, on the back side of this handout, have a list of a bunch of game making tools that you can use right now that you don't have to know how to be a programmer or an artist or anything in order to dive into one of these tools and just get started experimenting and sketching. So you should take one of these if you want. Feel free to. Yeah. No, I play my own game a lot, but that's not really fun for me, as you might imagine. So I'm just testing it. But most of the time I'm communicating with the rest of my team and kind of organizing people, and then doing programming and some of this other technical work. Yeah. No, go ahead. How many games have you worked on? So I've worked on this one big game that we rolled out in stages, and we're on the 5th episode of this 5 episodes. But before that, I made dozens of really small, sometimes really crappy, just like experimental games, just to kind of learn what I was doing. And I some of them I sold, and some of them I gave away for free. Yeah.
What's your favorite video game that you've like been part of?
Yeah, I like this one that I work on right now. It's yeah. Let me see if my battery's still holding up. So yeah, here's this is the tool that I use. It's called Unity, and I can kind of edit the game in here and make changes, and then I can get a preview of it. So what I do is I just I make a little change to the game, and then hit play.
Oh, you're that guy running?
Yeah, I'm that guy running. I can test it out. Sorry, the whole game is set at night, so it's really dark. But I'm gonna go down here and find the moon so I can see. It's not a horror game, but it is pretty spooky. But it's not like scary. So yeah, mostly in this game you explore these different areas, and then you meet people, and then when you meet them you can talk to them.
You guys already have voices?
We don't have any voices, it's just you just read the text, yeah. Because there's like a huge amount of there's like 600,000 words of dialogue or something in the game, so it's just like a lot of text, yeah.
Yeah, people are like actually.
Yeah, so there's a role in game development called QA that's like the game testers, and so we contract with a company that's their whole thing is they just have QA testers, and that's a really important job in video games too. The QA tester, like looking for bugs, and they're very thorough and rigorous. It's like they're not really like playing the game for fun. They're just like going through a list of trying all these different things to make the game break, and and then writing really clear documentation about how it broke, and then they email it to me, and I try to fix it. So, QA is a big role in video games. Also, it's unfortunately not paid very well, but it's really important. It should be paid better. Yeah. Yeah, so this game, we're making it on the PC, but then we can very easily port it over to, it'll be on PlayStation and Xbox and Switch and stuff later this summer, so, and it's actually pretty, you can make games on your computer and then move them over to these other platforms really easily now, so
Who here is interested in an exciting career in law enforcement? Oh, more.
Whoa, we have this is the biggest group we've had of people interested in police.
That's awesome.
That's any law enforcement stuff. That's what I want to do.
Well, everybody's been asking us questions. I'm going to ask you all questions then, since you're interested in the career. What's the single most important trait for a police officer? What do you think?
Common sense.
Common sense? That goes a long way. What do you think?
Patience. Patience is certainly a virtue in policing.
Communication.
Communication
You are
skills.
nailing all kinds of traits that we have to have. What else? What's that?
Gun safety.
Gun safety.
Gun safety.
Yeah. You gotta,
Safety is paramount, and not just gun safety, but safety in general.
Reading people their rights. But here's
what
what I think is the single most important quality for a police officer. You have to care about people. You have to want to help people. We deal with people who are having their worst day, probably the worst day of their life. Do you think people like that are easy to work with a lot of times?
Not at all.
They're angry, they're sad, sometimes they're not in a right state of mind. We have to go to a call where somebody is like that, and we have to be compassionate, and we have to control ourselves when they're usually not controlling themselves.
Just because someone's angry or because someone's sad and we show up, does that mean they're angry at the police? No, not necessarily, right? Are they sometimes angry at the police? Sure, they are. But just because they're angry does not mean they're angry at the police. Now, because they're angry, are they always polite and kind to the police? No. Are there times that people aren't so nice to the police? Pretty often. All right. Are there times police aren't so nice back? Sure. Why is that?
Because other people are trying to charge us.
Because what?
Some people are trying to charge us.
Coming at you wrong.
Sure. If someone surrounds you, if you're by yourself and a couple people surround you and they want to cause harm to you, what are you going to do?
And if they get too close.
So you gotta get back.
What are you guys going to do?
If they get too
I'm
close.
gonna say get back.
You don't have a gun right now. What are you going to do right now?
Not right.
So you stand back, or I'm gonna put y'all in.
You're gonna fight for yourself, right? You're gonna defend yourself. We're no different. Do you think cops get scared too? Yeah, sure, we do. All right, we're humans just like anyone else. All right, we have feelings, we have emotions just like anyone else, and we're gonna fight. All right, we're gonna take up for ourselves. And the news kind of gives us a bad shake at times, right? You see that on the news? All right, you see that on the news that all the bad things cops are doing, but do you think the cops really want to be in that position that they're in? Do they want to be in that jam? Of course they don't. Do you think the police really want to be standing in someone's living room at 3 o'clock in the morning because they can't get along? Well, they don't want to be there, but they serve a purpose, all right? What's the purpose of the police? What must we do? Yeah, make peace. We must keep people safe.
Protect us, sir. We must keep people safe. We help people solve problems. A lot of people, they call us when they don't know what else to do. Like, I've got some major problems and I don't know how to fix them and I need help.
What is like a normal police officer starting out salary?
$41,500 our annual starting salary.
We are one of the best paid departments in the area, so.
Then there
My best friend's cousin.
there are other benefits.
Yes, oh yeah, I just talked to him a little bit ago.
There are other benefits. I mean, we have health insurance provided and things like that as well.
Y'all got any education required?
So you have to have a high school diploma or GED, but college is strongly encouraged.
We prefer college education.
There's a new law that depending on what experience and training you've had as a military policeman in Kentucky, it might carry over and you might be able to be a certified officer in Kentucky without attending the academy.
Oh yeah, so as soon as you turn 18 to go to
No, you have to be 21 to be a police officer.
That's what they said exactly over there.
So that you graduate high school at 18 and you have 3 years. What can you be doing in those 3 years?
Training.
Going to college. Going to college.
College, trade school.
Going to college. Yes, everyone doesn't have to go. And I do not mean that. I do not think that every single person has to go to college. Trade school is an awesome program.
Yes. More people need to learn how to do things with their hands. If I could go back and do it all over again, I'd learn how to do something. I'd learn electricity, something to do with mechanical engineering, plumbing. I mean, construction.
We are losing. We have lost that ability.
Yeah. Technical skills are incredibly important.
It's going to be a big comeback one day.
How many hours do you work?
Us specifically, we work 8 hours a day, so 40 hours a week full time. Not all positions are full time; some are part time. Hours are typically for us are 8 to 4:30.
And it really just depends. Like if you wanted to be a nurse, you could work like 3 12-hour days or 4 10-hour days. It really just depends on what department or what job you want at the hospital. Any other questions that you guys have? Well,
Your income?
our income, we make $30 an hour. We both have our bachelor's degree, and so we work in the human resources department. Good questions. Any other questions that you guys can think of?
I'm obviously like what's like a medical assistant and stuff. Like, what exactly do they do?
Medical assistants? Yeah.
Medical assistant typically follows around, they're on our off-sites. We have around 50 off-sites, so they're more with the physicians and helping them kind of assist them with patients. It's a good avenue to get into as well. Starting pay for a medical assistant is usually $13.42 an hour. Yep.
Yep. I was like, that's a good job.
It is.
So what's some of the different jobs at Hardin Memorial Hospital? What's the different jobs?
So that's not medical related. We have a lot of different jobs that are not healthcare based. IT. Are you good at computers? Okay. IT. We have security officers. We have people who work in food service, transport, patient registrars. Not really necessarily clinical, but still more on the clerical part of the patients. Let's see. Human resources?
Yeah.
Finance. Medical office clerks, medical assistants. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Nurses.
I was like, anything
nurse
you
practitioners.
Think of.
Physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, lab, pharmacy.
I was like, and then one of the gentlemen, he just asked, what do we like best about working at HMH? And I would say, like, HMH, it really does, it feels like a family. So I was like, I think that's our favorite part.
It's definitely the best part of working at HMH.
Yeah.
The family feel.
I was like, our department, I was like, one of the questions you guys ask is about what traits do we look for? So like hard workers, people that come to work on time, that have a good attitude.
Good attitude.
Yep, lots of good experience. So I feel like we have that at HMH.
I'm Landon Wood. I'm 13. And some careers I learned about was the Navy. For education, you need to have a high school diploma and ASFAB. Not really sure what that is, but you know. The salary, $35,000 a year, and you need to be qualified mentally, physically, and morally, and you need to be a high school graduate. It's also a game developer. You don't need any education or experience. The salary varies depending on what you are. There aren't really any specific personality traits, but you want to learn programming. Some other careers that were interesting were the EC3 section over there. They had a lot of cool stuff like automotive, drones, these little robots, and then the firefighter section, which the equipment that they have is really expensive, surprisingly, and it's pretty cool. You know, and you can be a firefighter at 15. You just can't go into a house and fight fires until you're 18. Out of my three main ones, I would probably pick like the EMS because it has pretty good time. You work 24 hours at a time, but then you get 2 days off. And you need to finish high school and college, and you can earn up to like $40,000 a year. Yeah, and it's a pretty cool job, you know.
Hello, I'm Jackson Riddle. I am 13 years old, and out of all the careers that I learned today, I learned about multiple stuff, such as engineering, video game developing, banking, police officers, and just many other careers that are really interesting and most people probably would enjoy. Out of all the different types of careers I chose, I'd probably either choose to be an engineer or a video game developer. Now with the engineering, I really like building stuff and seeing how things works, so it'd probably be a very good job for me, because if you do something that you love, you'll be really good at it. And with the video game developing, I really like creating stories and like other stuff that I enjoy to do. I love playing video games, so why can't I create my own? It sounds like a really interesting topic and career to go in. And most of the education experience that it needs is really nothing. You just need to start making games and like trial and error. Like you see, oh, I did really good in this area on the game, but I didn't do so good in this other area. And usually with the pricing that you get with it can be anywhere. You can make lots of money one year, and then the next year you might not get that much at all. And there's really not a lot that you just need into it. Just passion into creating the video games. So I think it would be a great option for me to choose out of any of these careers today that I've seen.
I am Devontae Early. I'm 13 years old, and some of the career choices that I've wanted to pick is banker, video game designer, and going to EC3. I chose those because banker, you have to deal with math, social skills, and you have to be able to talk to other people. Video game designer, because I love video games, and I just love video games, and it uses math, science, and all that stuff. Going to EC3, I'd be able to go to college, and if I get a degree, I'd be able to like do robotics and build things and become an engineer.